I live in the state of Oregon, which seems to have more than its fair share of legendary monsters, treasures, crimes, and unsolved mysteries. One of the most famous of these was the skyjacking that took place on Wednesday, November 24th, 1971, by a man who, when he bought his ticket, gave his name as Dan Cooper, but due to a reporter's mistake has since become universally known as D.B. Cooper. Hi, this is Anthony Mills. Welcome back to my show. As always, before I begin, please click the subscribe button below. It really helps me out and it doesn't cost you anything. Thanks so much. There are plenty of D.B. Cooper documentaries that you can find on YouTube, some very good, others more marginal, that discuss the events surrounding the hijacking of Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 on the day before Thanksgiving 1971. The hijacker requested 4 parachutes and $200,000, which was given to him in $10,020 bills. When the plane took off again, with only the crew and Cooper remaining on board, the hijacker departed the airplane via the aft air stairs somewhere over southern Washington or the Columbia River, which separates Washington state from Oregon. No body or identifiable remains of the hijacker were ever found, nor was any of the money found in circulation. However, nearly a decade after the hijacking, 2 complete and 1 partial bundle of bills, totaling 290 $20 bills, was found downstream from Vancouver, Washington, buried in the sand. The serial numbers on those notes match the serial numbers of the ransom money. So, who was the hijacker? Like many supposedly unsolved cases such as Jack the Ripper and the Zodiac Killer, the Cooper hijacking case has a number of suspects who are reasonably good matches. Because of the wars within the 30 years prior to the hijacking, World War II and Vietnam in particular, there were a number of American men who had some level of experience with parachutes. So who do I think was the hijacker? Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. And here's what I'm going to read from a slightly edited version of his page on Wikipedia. Richard Floyd McCoy Jr., 1942 to 1974, was an Army veteran who served 2 tours of duty in Vietnam, first as a demolition expert and later with the Green Berets as a helicopter pilot. After his military service, he became a warrant officer in the Utah National Guard and was an avid recreational skydiver with aspirations of becoming a Utah State Trooper. On April 7, 1972, McCoy staged the best known of the so-called copycat hijackings. He boarded United Airlines Flight 855, a Boeing 727 with aft stairs, in Denver, Colorado, and, brandishing what later proved to be a paperweight resembling a hand grenade and an unloaded handgun, he demanded 4 parachutes and $500,000. After delivery of the money and parachutes at San Francisco International Airport, McCoy ordered the aircraft back into the sky and bailed out over Provo, Utah, leaving behind his handwritten hijacking instructions and his fingerprints on a magazine that he had been reading. He was arrested 2 days later, on April 9th, with the ransom cash in his possession, and after trial and conviction received a 45-year sentence. 2 years later, he escaped from Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary with several accomplices by crashing a garbage truck through the main gate. Tracked down 3 months later in Virginia Beach, McCoy was killed in a shootout with FBI agents. In their 1991 book, D.B. Cooper, The Real McCoy, parole officer Bernie Rhodes and former FBI agent Russell Calame asserted that they had identified McCoy as Cooper. They cited obvious similarities in the 2 hijackings, claims by McCoy's family that the tie and mother-of-pearl tie clip left on the plane belonged to McCoy, and McCoy's own refusal to admit or deny that he was Cooper. A proponent of their claim was the FBI agent who killed McCoy. When I shot Richard McCoy, he said, I shot D.B. Cooper at the same time. Although there is no reasonable doubt that McCoy committed the Denver hijacking, the FBI does not consider him a suspect in the Cooper case because of mismatches in age and description, a level of skydiving skill well above that thought to be possessed by the hijacker, incredible evidence that McCoy was in Las Vegas on the day of the Portland hijacking and at home in Utah the day after, having Thanksgiving dinner with his family. First of all, the last paragraph alludes to the fact that McCoy was younger than the age estimate that witnesses put Cooper at, approximately in his mid-40s. This is a mugshot of McCoy. How old does he look in this picture? Perhaps surprisingly, he was 29 years old. I don't know about you, but the individual in that picture does not look 29. However, he is indisputably 29 years of age in that picture. To me, he looks like he could well be in his mid-40s. So what about the so-called evidence that McCoy was in Las Vegas on the day of the Portland hijacking? Well, that evidence comes from the original claims by his wife's younger sister, who was babysitting the kids prior to Thanksgiving. It's now believed without a doubt that McCoy's wife was involved in the hijackings, and so it's not a stretch to believe that her sister might not have given completely truthful evidence to the FBI in the original investigation. I've not read the book referenced, but I have watched a video that was produced by a D.B. Cooper researcher, in which I'll have links to in the show notes. Now, I'm going to tell you that while I think you should watch the video, it really should have been edited down to a much shorter format, and if you watch it, you'll see why. But even though there's a lot that could be left out for various reasons, when you get towards the end, you'll see interviews with McCoy's children and see why they are now willing to discuss the fact that they believe that their father was the hijacker, now that their mother and grandmother are deceased. Also, at the start of the video, there's some clips from local news broadcasts. They are interesting, but if you skip over those, you won't miss anything. So that's who I think it is, Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. What do you think? Do you think Richard was the real McCoy, or do you think one of the other suspects is a better candidate for this historic crime? Leave your comments in the comment section below, and as always, I would be honored if you subscribe to this channel and like this and other videos. Leaving a comment helps me in my goal of getting this channel monetized. Again, thank you very much for watching.